Yeah, what's happening, y'all? Back in with another video. All right. Yeah. Turn that down a little bit. Before we get nicked, I'm still actually of the opinion that if you're not big enough, you don't get nicked. And my channel is not big enough. And I don't even really know why I call it my channel, because we all know this ain't gonna blow up. Okay, this is just for the people that love what they love. They love their music, they love their gear, and they love to hear other people talk about how those people enjoy their gear. Today's video is inspired by one subscriber, one comment, one individual, and I can't remember his name. I'll have to go back into the comments, but he was like, hey, I see that you have a SVS subwoofer, and he said something to the effect that, oh, you know what, I won't even paraphrase, I can't remember what he said, but what I've heard online is that, oh yeah, no, you need to have an audiophile subwoofer in order to glean the best from your 2-channel system. You gotta have a REL, you gotta have a monitor audio, you gotta have a Bowers and Wilkins. SVS is for home theater. It can't possibly, it cannot provide you with the sub frequencies that give you the pleasure and the dopamine release that we all want from our systems. Yeah, well, I'm gonna make a quick little video about this. Yeah, I've used SVS for a few years now. I've had a few different SVS subs, and I'll tell you straight up, right off the bat, why I like them. SVS has a usable, functional, highly articulate app that you can use from your phone or your iPad or whatever Android device you're using in order to incorporate that sub into the room at which you are listening in. It is easy, straightforward. It is, again, articulate in that you have so many options to fine-tune the bass response to your listening position, right? Which is here. A lot can be said, and a lot has been said, and I'm not going to rehash, and I'm by no means any expert in, anything truly related to music. I'm just an enthusiast that has tried many different things in many different types of rooms with many different types of gear and equipment. And if we're talking about subwoofers, one thing that stays true and clear is that SVS subwoofers with their app control give you ultimate controllability and enjoyment of adding sub frequencies to your listening experience. I know that there are, we're gonna put big quotations around it, purists out there that are like, oh no, you shouldn't need a sub if you have good enough speakers. Well, you know what? That's an opinion, and that's a fair opinion. I'm not gonna bash too hard on that opinion, but what I will say is that if you're gonna judge somebody for having a sub, you can go fuck yourself, right? Because oh, it's not pure to the recording studio's ideology. You know, it doesn't stay true. Okay, we're going to put a period right there, and then I'm going to start a whole new paragraph. That paragraph is going to start with me saying, if you were in the recording studio, you're getting an absolutely different sound than what any listener would be getting. So, if you are the guitarist in the recording studio, you have either headphones on or in-ear monitors. You are behind glass in a closed system, quote unquote, with the rest of your band, and you're playing with headphones on. So the mere fact that each individual, the drummer, the trumpeters, the singers, the guitarists, the pianists, the violinists, it doesn't matter who's in there, all have their own in-ear monitors or headphones. From the simple fact of that physical truality, or truism, truality, I want to make that a real word, truality, but we'll call it a truism, they had headphones on. So none of those people in the studio were hearing the same thing that the other musicians were hearing. Let's just start there. We can back out further and go into the recording studio where the mixing board is and the audio engineers are. Yeah, they have monitor speakers, right? That they are listening to, which is going to sound, again, different than what the musicians themselves are hearing with in-ear monitors or headphones on. Right. So anybody that's like, oh, you know what, it's not going to sound, if you have a subwoofer, yeah, it's not true to the recordings. Fuck off. Fuck off. You weren't there. You weren't there. And most likely you've not been in any recording studio. Most likely you have never actually made music. Most likely you're not a musician. Okay. So all that being said, me getting off my soapbox, and I love my soapbox. You know what? Listen, the ones that sit here and will watch me, first of all, that's awesome. You guys are awesome. I get on these soapboxes because it's just how I feel and how I think. But also, too, I kind of feel it makes even one or two of you guys giggle. Because to me, it's all a big joke. None of this matters. However much you spent on your front end, or how much you spent on your speakers, or what you spent on your amplifier, or if you have a subwoofer or not. It doesn't matter. None of us in this YouTube universe are going to be at your listening position to make any judgment calls. And then if we were at your listening position in your room and we're making a judgment on it, who the fuck are we? All right. So I'm going to step down off the soapbox for a second. We're just going to talk about me using an SVS sub in my system. Again, one subscriber, one watcher was like, oh, I see that you're using that. How do you integrate it into your system? Well, every room is different. We all know that. Every subwoofer, every speaker setup, every front end, every amplifier, speaker, cables, acoustic treatment, all of it is different. We all get that. That's not really a point of contention. What I'm going to specifically talk about is why I have constantly used SVS as my subwoofer of choice. Now, I'm sure that there are so many amazing subwoofers out there. Fantastic, well built, good quality components, powerful, dynamic, controlled. They all exist. SVS is one of those companies. And what I like about the SVS is that they give you the option of connectivity. So in this case, I'm able to use single-ended or balanced. I happen to be using balanced cables for my SVS. And then it has app control. So let me just bring you over here to my iPad and show you why this works for me. Without further ado, we're going to fire that up. We're going to get out of my Eversolo app and we're going to go right into my SVS app. Okay, so as you can see here, I have different presets. And I am of the mindset that a movie preset in my room is different, has different needs and requirements than my digital preset, right? So right now I have my digital preset set to a -20. The number itself means nothing to you viewers because every room, again, is different. There's different pressurization requirements in order to make that sub be felt in your chest, right? In your room. So that changes. But this is why I love it, okay? So I know this is ghetto here in terms of how I'm showing you, but yeah, so you got, you know, your options here, your volume. You can go into your low pass filter and you can set that whatever you feel you need based on, you know, what your speakers are cutting off at or what you're audibly hearing what your speakers are cutting off at. Coming back to the app, let's zoom in here. You have your phase control that you can go in. You can, you know, change your phase. You can go into your polarity, change that. You can then, let's pull this back up here. Sorry for my ghetto presentation here, but this is what you get when you're dealing with my channel. Parametric EQ. So now listen, I don't have the super expensive microphones that I'm going to set up. Hold on, this is my listening position here. I don't have, you know, super expensive microphones. I'm setting up there and then doing measurements and stuff. Listen, that has its place, right? If you are truly a recording studio, you're trying to, you know, record a violin, a viola, a trumpet, a trombone, a upright bass, you know, and you're trying to get it perfect. That makes sense to me, right? But for just me being an audiophile, enjoying my music the way I want to hear it and feel it, the measurements to me aren't that important. And if anyone was to come to me and be like, oh no, in order to get the best music experience, you really need to be doing measurements. I mean, maybe, but also with my ears and what I feel, I'm able to get excellent results just by me using the functionality of this app with my sub. And I should mention, well into the video, this subwoofer is, I'm using the SB4000. So it's a 13-inch driver, and the wattage, I don't know. Honestly, wattage doesn't matter that much to me. And in most listening rooms, if you have a well-built sub, the wattage of that sub probably doesn't matter. 50, 80, 100 watts, 500 watts, 1,000 watts. What are the scenarios that you're going to be using all that wattage? I'm sorry, for enjoyable listening experiences, yeah, you're not using a third, not even a quarter of the wattage that these things are able to put out. So, you know, like, you know, for any normal person, you're not blasting your music at 90 dB all the time when you're listening. Like, if you're doing that, you have to do that in order to feel your music. That's something to be said about the recordings of the music that you're listening to, or the types of music you're listening to, or you've just built a shitty fucking system. Let's just be honest. A good system does not require high wattage output in order to glean sonic enjoyment, that dopamine release, the thing that we all love, right? So all that, we're gonna go back to the app here quickly, and I'm just gonna fire that up again. We're gonna go back here. What else you got? Room gain compensation, also useful, right? Once you know your room, but also you're listening to the bass response at different points of your room. And I'm not gonna lie, right? If I sit here, right? If I sit in this position, which is not my ideal listening position, this is my ideal listening position, But if I sit here, so I have one of my buddies over here, my son, my wife, you know what I mean? Or another buddy audiophile of mine, and we're sitting there, and he's there listening, and I'm sitting here. Yeah, absolutely. I hear more bass than here in that position. But that just makes sense, right? This is physics, right? So you don't fight physics. That's my fucking motto when you're building a system. You don't fight physics. But what I do is that I will tune that subwoofer to this listening position for what I like to hear and feel. Is it what they heard in the recording studio? Who the fuck knows? Who cares? If it's a good recording and a good song, and you're able to tune your system up that when you're sitting here, you're enjoying the sonic vibes that's coming out from your system into your ear holes and hitting you in your chest, then you did it right. It's right. There's no perfect subwoofer. There's no perfect speakers. There's no perfect front end. There's no perfect amplifier or perfect speaker cables or power cables. That's not a thing. There are varying degrees of good. I mean, sure, I'm sure there's shitty stuff out there as well, right? But most of us won't be buying shitty things. And thing is, you can easily buy a shitty thing, but also there's good stuff made for the same price as those shitty things. So you should be at least doing your research, buying good stuff that costs less than super expensive stuff that may or may not make a difference in your sonic experience. Why do I use the SVS sub? I like the ease of use. I like the form factor. I like the connectivity of an SVS sub. And I like the fact that I can sit at my listening position here and fine tune my bass response based on my room, based on my enjoyments, and based on my whim, if you will. In terms of what I do for each type of listening, so I do absolutely have different setups. Sorry, give me a second here. Oh, why is this not unlocking? Did I lock myself out of my iPad of 15 years? Nope, there we go. Got him. All right, so when I move back to home, I have this option here. So yeah, I'm of the belief in my room that when I'm watching a movie, I feel that I have the need for a little bit more exaggerated bass. I'm watching an action movie or a horror. Love me a horror. I want to feel that bass a little bit more. And with the speakers that I have, and with the amp that I'm using right now, and my front end that I have, I want a little bit more bass response. So I pump that up, but I also then will change it for vinyl if I want to drop the needle. So we're going to go over here. Let's change this to my vinyl setup. And we're going to come here and we're just going to drop that needle. And we're going to turn this up a bunch. Right? Yeah, we're going to crank the fuck out of that. Yeah, right here. This is what's playing right now. Right? Yeah, so in this scenario, we're going to turn this back down here because it's loud as fuck. Turn that back down. All right. Massive jam session on that album. Let me come back in here. John Schofield. All right. Yeah. Scomule, baby. Yeah, if you like a nice solid jam session, it's a good album. Double disc on that, actually. Anyways, so I find with my vinyl setup and, the front end that I'm using, I like a little bit more bass boost. But then also, I do have my crossover point, my low pass filter set a little bit different than I do for my digital or for my movie
right? So if I go back to my movie, I have my crossover point. Even though the sub is louder, I have my low pass filter set at 80, right? But then when I'm listening, I like to have my vinyl set up, you know, the bass a little bit lower, but also my crossover set a little bit lower. I have my crossover set at 50.
I think these speakers functionally will go to like what they say is 40 hertz. I don't know. You know, I like to cross over a little bit higher than what speaker manufacturers claim, only because, you know, every manufacturer in every industry claims just a little bit higher. There's rare occasions where, oh yeah, this car manufacturer said that it only had 300 horsepower, but when we put it on the dyno, it had 310. It's a rare occasion, right? When they usually say they have 300 horsepower, yeah, it's coming in at 286 or some shit. You know what I mean? So, point being, with speakers, same kind of deal. Oh yeah, our speakers go down to 30 hertz. Functionally, like if I'm blasting them, maybe, but at just lovely listening, you know, levels, probably not. That's why you have a subwoofer, right? Yeah, Rel's gonna do it. Kef is gonna be able to provide that. Bowers and Wilkins will provide that. All these different companies will provide a decent or very good subwoofer to give you the enjoyment that you want. I like SVS because of its app control and its absolute power and delivery and cleanliness of bass. This is how I incorporate my sub into my system. Could I use another sub? Sure, maybe. Do we need them? Probably not. Do we like them? Yeah, absolutely. Could you have 10 subs? Sure. Yeah, that's where I'm going with that. Listen, I enjoy my SVS SB4000 sub. I've had an SB1000. I've had the micro SB3000. I think it's a 3000. Love them all for the exact same reason. You are able to fine tune them to what you need and want and desire in your room. Who cares if it doesn't sound like what the studio intended? What does that fucking mean when everybody had in-ear monitors, a closed room with plexiglass in between the audio engineer and the musicians? And the musicians were wearing headphones or in-ear monitors. All right. Everybody needs to relax. Use subs to bring your system to the level that you want to feel and hear. And it doesn't need to be any more or any less than that. Spending big bucks, sure. If you got the bucks, spend them. Yeah, is it going to sound better? Maybe. But also, you know, a well cost-effective sub will also fill in that low end nicely and bring you the enjoyment you're looking for. This is for that one guy that asked me to make a video about how I incorporate my SVS sub into my system. There's the brass tacks, baby. Pay up. This video is for you. I hope you guys are enjoying your systems. I hope you guys are having a good life, enjoying the things you're able to, and keep on building, keep on growing, keep on understanding. Read better books, and don't fall into the closed-minded ideologies that so many audiophiles can fall into, thinking that they have the best outlook on life because it's sounding like it came from the studio. Go fuck yourself. Anyways, guys, listen. If you've watched this far, I hope you're giggling. I hope you're laughing. Enjoy your lives, guys. And maybe I'll come with another video in the future. Peace out! Turn this back up. Hold on. Let's go loud. Here we go. Yeah, baby.